I would like to thank you so much, Miss our pianist and organist, Miss Jennifer King, and to our song leaders, Miss Myra, Lisa, and Mimi, for taking your time to help us with this program. And we still have few minutes to go because we don't expect this to happen, but we're sorry about that. But yeah, any circumstances unexpected, but I'm sure God has a reason for everything, and we thank you so much for still being with us here now. Now, I would like to know who among you here has a family or friends that has cancer. Yeah, it's very common, right? And some people might say, "Oh, I know about cancer. Oh, I've heard about that. I don't need these lectures." But you know what? Though you know about that, there are always a lot of things that we can learn, especially to the experts, especially to from the doctors. And one thing I learned before, no matter how like good or bad the speakers are, you always learn something from them when you listen, and you can share that to your friends and family, especially when they don't understand what's going on, and you could share your knowledge, your experience to them. Now, when I was in high school, I have this. When I was in first year, second year high school, I have a friend. Her mom has a cancer and was hiding. He has this wound in her face, and she was hiding it from her. And by the end of second year high school, she died, and my friend was so young. And so I'm so emotional. So that's why I like talking, but sharing like experiences. I'm running so emotional, but yeah, it's so nice to have some knowledge about every single thing in life that you can share to others. So for now, we still have few minutes to go, and maybe we can have someone while waiting for our speaker about that will talk about cancer. Maybe we can have someone among you guys there who can share your experience to us, like a little bit that each of each of one or some of us might need to hear, because we don't know what we're going through. So if someone would be willing to share an experience or about how they cope up with it, a cancer thing. Is anybody? Okay. What's your name? Hi, Miss Lally. I'm gonna give the phone to you, so we can hear from your experience and learn from it.
Okay, I just want to share because it's my sister that had cancer, and maybe 15 years ago. But she made an announcement. We're 9 children, and she made an announcement that it's during Thanksgiving time to all of us and told us that they give her 3 months to live. We were very devastated because we love each other. But anyhow, what I want to share is the most important thing that I believe that happened to her. It was like surrendered completely to God and all the things that the doctors told her to do. She did have chemotherapy and changed a lot of lifestyle. And apparently she's cured, okay? She doesn't have it. She's still living right now. And she had, the doctors just found it by accident because when she was going to all the time, the doctors checked her, she was fine. But we kind of noticed some kind of odd situation on her, and my other sister teased her, said, "Are you pregnant or something?" She always looked a little bit like big, but actually it was a tumor that she had. And it was like a 20-pound or more tumor. They had to remove it. It was supposed to be benign, But later is when they found out that she had actually a different cancer situation. It wasn't the tumor, it was something. So my point is that I think the doctors she did not know, but the specialists did not catch it until the third, fourth time. And she followed the chemotherapy, and then she had every church and all her husband devoted to prayer and prayer and prayer and prayer and prayer. And I believe God made a miracle with her because she's still alive. So that's what I wanted to share.
Oh, you want to share too?
Okay. Well, I had several people in my family that had cancer, but my cousin, his wife used to work for the City of Hope, which is a hospital over in Doherty, which is a cancer institute over there. But she had to have some people come in and do some testing, because she had to have some guinea pigs for the day. And so he went in, her husband went in to do the testing and found out that he had a high prostate cancer, very, very aggressive one. So he ended up going through the Hope therapy and all the things that he had to do and the life changes. And then he's been like 9 years, he's still doing okay. And they say he has a little bit left, but not a lot. He always explains it to me. He says it's like like the keys are lost, but because what he does is he has a special therapy he does where the cells can't find the cancer. And so he's been working on beating it, and he's done so far 9 years, so it's been really good.
Praise God. Well, praise God for that. So we have another one. What's your name, sir?
Chuck. About 20 years ago, I'm a layman, I'm not a doctor or anything. We had an invitation to go in San Diego to the Burnham Institute. Anybody that's in the medical field probably has heard of that name, maybe. Burnham Institute in San Diego. And they talked about cancer. One of the interesting things they told us, I'm a layman, so I interpreted it the way they told us, is that cancer, because the cells are always changing and so forth like that, if you or I would have to keep track of all these corrections that the cells made, it's a miracle that we even exist in a sense. So this is the thing is that cancer is, at least as mortals, this is maybe, and so there's ways of curing it and so forth, but the idea that the cells all the time are dividing and everything, and that's why you have these people talking about the CRISPR and things like that, so the DNA.
Thank you so much, Sir Chuck. So before I continue, there is a lot of experience of us here for sure who has friends and families who have cancer. And in fact, when I was in the Philippines, I work in oncology department too. I see cancer patients with their treatments. Usually their reactions to the medications, they vomit a lot, and they tend to lose a lot of weight. And it's so sad to see them like that, especially the kids. And me myself, it's like I wanted to, even though about cancer, there's, as what I've said, there's always more things to learn. And in fact, we have we have our speaker already, thank you. We have this kid, daughter of the pastor of our church in the Philippines, has, I think 2 or 3 years old, was having this chemotherapies, and me and my husband was supporting them also, little by little. We're giving like monthly because the treatments are expensive, right? Especially in the Philippines, we don't have insurances, so we pay a lot. So, but recently, this daughter, her name is Angel, the daughter of our pastor. She's been cancer-free, and we prayed. We've been praying for our friends. Also, we have many kids who have cancer. We've been praying for them, who are friends, even if it's not cancer, or our friends. We can always pray for our friends and family who has difficulties in life. Prayer works, though. It's not what always we expected, but God always knows the best. So For now, we're gonna give the time for our speaker and his family and friends, and I'm gonna give the microphone to David. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melody. She is an entertainer. Well, welcome members and visitors today for this very interesting health series that we have. All of the topics are very practical and they all affect us individually. Today is the first session of the health series, which will go until December 17. So we will have 8 sessions altogether. And Dr. Hugo Leon Jr. will start today with the topics the best lifestyle to treat and prevent cancer. It is an honor and a privilege for me to welcome and introduce Dr. Leon and his family. He is a graduate of Loma Linda University Medical School, a missionary at Guam SDA clinic for 6 years. He also worked in the Middle East for some time. Currently, he is assistant professor of family medicine at Loma Linda University Medical School. And he also a medical consultant for Adventist Frontier Missions. Besides being a physician, his other passion is preaching God's word. Dr. Leon, we welcome you and your family. Now, the time is yours.
Okay, great, thank you. Can you all see the screen up there? Or should we turn the lights down, or is that okay? Maybe the front lights here from the stage. There, is that a little bit better? Okay, the best lifestyle to prevent cancer. What is cancer? That is a very good question. A lot of people wonder about that. Cancer is DNA replication out of control. As you know, all of our cells, when they duplicate, the DNA divides. But DNA can be damaged by things like viruses, like toxins, by oxidative stress, by radiation, by failure of the immune system to repair the DNA. And when our DNA becomes damaged, our cells can become cancerous. Here you can see normal cells replicating, but over here you see a damaged cell. And once that DNA becomes damaged, you have mutant cells. And those mutant cells become cancerous cells, and they can take over a whole organ, like your liver. They can take over your bone marrow, and then it can metastasize or travel to the whole body. And those mutant cells will destroy all the organs in our body. And it's an unfortunate process. There's about 18 million new cases of cancer in the world each year. So this is a very serious problem. And in the United States, cancer is the second leading cause of death behind cardiovascular heart disease. So it's a very serious problem. And here you can see, even more than COVID, even more than accidents, is death from cancer, second only to heart disease. In the Midwest and in the South of the United States, we have the highest concentration of cancer, but California is also very affected. So you can see this is pretty much a national problem and a global problem. Treatments for cancer are many. We've made many scientific advancements. You can see we have things like hormone therapy, surgery, bone marrow transplant, radiation, immunotherapy, all kinds of interesting and fascinating ways to attack cancer. But you want to know the truth? There is no magic pill to cure cancer. Isn't that right? It's still very primitive, and we're still very primitive in our treatment. So the best way to treat cancer is to prevent cancer. In fact, medical people will tell you 80%, what percent? 80% of our cancers are preventable. Wow. So the best way is to prevent cancer. But we're also going to talk about lifestyle for treating cancer if you have it. So this is the approach many times, unfortunately, that the medical community takes. What's wrong with this picture? Can anybody tell me? What's the problem? What are they treating? They're treating, this doctor and nurse are working very hard to treat the symptoms, but not the cause. Isn't that right? You can mop the floor all you want, but what do you need to do? You need to turn off the sink. Isn't that right? So we need to find the cause and treat it instead of just treating the symptoms. So we're going to talk about the 8 natural doctors. Maybe some of you have heard of New Start, the 8 natural remedies, and we're going to apply them to this topic of cancer. So that's what we're going to do today. But I want to begin by telling you something very important. Your own body is the best way to cure cancer. Your own body is the best doctor. God put inside of us an amazing defense system called the immune system. And you can see that we have white blood cells of every kind and every type that are experts in killing viruses, bacteria, parasites, and also, you got it, cancer cells. So our immune system cleans up the cancer cells in our body. So if we have a strong immune system, we will have a good defense against cancer. So remember, the immune system repairs damaged DNA. So we have our own natural cancer-fighting system in our body that God put in there. So a healthy immune system prevents cancer. This is very, very important. So we need to have a strong immune system. But our lifestyle can do what? Our lifestyle can weaken our defense system. They say that a country is only as strong as its army. Isn't that right? If you have a poor defense, if you have a poor army, you cannot defend yourself well. But if you have a strong defense, a strong army, you can stand up to any enemy. So our lifestyle affects. In fact, there's an old adage, you are what you eat. That's why I tell my patients, you are what you eat, so you should eat fruits and nuts. What do you say? So you are what you eat. But it's true. We literally, when you really think about this, the food that you eat literally breaks down into micronutrients. You absorb it, and then your body makes tissue and blood out of those micronutrients. Isn't it true? So we literally are what we eat. It's very, very true. Junk food can cause inflammation. This is a very, very important thing. Junk food. I'm saying junk food, but there's a lot of different kinds of foods that can cause inflammation. Now, inflammation is the enemy of your health. Inflammation can lead to cancer. I want you to remember that principle. That's an important principle. And there are certain kinds of foods, refined foods, foods that have been genetically modified, certain types of foods like fried foods and red meats that can cause inflammation in different organs of the body. So this is important to understand. It's another important principle. And this inflammation does a lot of things. It can affect the brain. It can affect, the immune system. It can affect your skin, your joints. It can cause arthritis, but it can also cause inflammation in your colon, in your prostate, even in the breast tissue. And this can lead to precancers and cancer. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this. This is just sort of a picture I took from the internet of some of the foods that eliminate inflammation and some of the food categories that can cause inflammation. We'll talk in more detail about these things here. Hippocrates, the physician that lived, the Greek physician that lived more than 2,000 years ago, said something very profound. He said, let medicine be your what? Your food. So it's interesting. He would change people's diets to heal them. Do you think we could do the same today? If we changed our lifestyle, if we changed our diet, do you think that would help to heal our body? This is another important principle. Let your food be your medicine. Scientists are now studying a thing called epigenetics. Have you heard of epigenetics? So what is epigenetics? We all have chromosomes and genes but we only express a certain fraction of those genes. And what they're finding out is that our lifestyle can turn genes on and turn genes off. Now, this is interesting. So we may have a gene that makes us want to have diabetes, makes us prone to diabetes. By eating the wrong foods, we can turn that gene on. And by eating lots of vegetables, we can turn that diabetes gene off. Now, for some people, that's not going to be 100%, but we can make things a lot better by our lifestyle. Our lifestyle can actually turn on and off the expression of certain genes that affect our health. This is incredible, and this is what we're finding out. And there's a lot of things that affect the expression of our genes. So can we boost our immune system? Can we make our immune system stronger? We can. What's the best lifestyle to make our immune system stronger, right? Strong immune system, less cancer, correct? Number one, reduce your sugar intake. Now, does sugar have anything to do with cancer? That sounds crazy. I mean, can an ice cream give me cancer? Well, look at all the different types of cancers that are increased with a high sugar diet. And you can see them there: breast cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian, et cetera, et cetera. So we know, scientifically, we know there's a link between sugar and cancer. And we also know that diabetics who have sugar out of control, a very high blood sugar, have more cancer. We know this for a fact. So how does it work? A very interesting experiment that was done here in Southern California in the 1960s by dentists. So the dentists took some white blood cells and they put bacterias, and they wanted to see how many bacterias each white blood cell would eat, okay? So let's just say that the normal white blood cell would eat 20 bacterias in 1 hour. So what they did was they gave sugar to the white blood cells to see if it would help them eat more bacteria or less bacteria. What do you think happened? When you gave sugar to the white blood cells, they became drunk, and they couldn't fight against the bacteria anymore. So this is interesting. Number of bacteria eaten by each white blood cell. With 0 sugar present, each white blood cell could eat 14 bacteria. If you put 12 teaspoons into the mix with the white blood cells, they could only eat 5 bacteria per white blood cell. And after 24 teaspoons of sugar, which is 2 sodas, each white blood cell could only kill or eat 1 bacteria. So that means with 2 sodas, you can completely eliminate or completely incapacitate your immune system. Think about that. Think about that. So this is a very interesting experiment that they did. The next thing that we can do to help eliminate our chance of cancer or reduce our chance of cancer is to avoid fatty foods. A high-fat diet, as well as a sugary diet, is connected with cancer. Wow. Does anybody know what this is? This is an aorta. Does anybody know what an aorta is? It's the main blood vessel that comes out of your heart and goes to the rest of your body. Now, this tube has been filleted open. Can you see that? That the blood runs through here. Can you see? The blood runs through here. It's a tube that's been filleted open. Now, this is a normal aorta, a normal blood vessel. Now, I want you to see what happens when you eat a high-fat diet. What happens to this blood vessel? Are you ready? Now, do you think the blood can flow through this aorta? I call this the pizza aorta because it's from eating too much pizza. It kind of looks like pizza, right? The consumption of red meat and processed meat has been linked with colon cancer. Have you heard this? This came out, the World Health Organization recently came out with this. Was a bombshell. Processed meat, hot dogs, Spam, corned beef, sausages, all these kinds of processed meats and red meats, pork, beef, are very much connected with colon cancer. So how does that happen? Here's a picture of our colon. Did you know you have one of these inside of you? Your colon is your septic tank. All right, gentlemen, how does a septic tank work? What do you have in the septic tank? So when the garbage goes in there, how do you get rid of the garbage? Something eats up the garbage. What eats up the garbage? Bacterias, exactly. So our colon is very similar. Our colon is full of bacteria. Now, when you eat something and it's not digested well or processed well, and it ends up in your colon, how do you get rid of it? Your bacteria have to eat it. Now, what if you have a big fatty meal with lots of red meat and cheese, and some of that stuff gets into your colon? Who has to break all of that down? Your bacteria. Now, the bacteria, if they have a lot of fatty foods present, they produce acid. They produce substances that irritate and inflame the colon. Do you see what happens if you eat a high-fat diet? You're going to be getting a lot of junk in there, and your bacteria are going to be working overtime, and you're going to end up with a lot of inflammation. And that inflammation, this is actually the inside of someone's colon, with inflammation can lead to polyps. Have you heard of a polyp? And those polyps can become cancer. You see how this works? So if you eat a diet that does not inflame your colon, what do you think your chances of colon cancer are? Higher or lower? Lower. And if you eat a diet that's full of fatty foods, like red meat and dairy, do you think your colon cancer chance is going to be higher or lower? Higher. It's very simple. Very, very simple. And, okay, here we have ovarian cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer. You can't see it very well here, but it says never eat meat, once a week meat, more than once a week. And you can see that the more frequently you eat meat, the higher the chance of ovarian, colon, and prostate cancer. In fact, gentlemen, you triple your risk of prostate cancer with a high-fat diet. Triple. Ladies, dietary fat is directly related to chance of breast cancer. And here we can see that the countries that have more of a vegetable, plant-based diet have less breast cancer. And all these countries up here, Canada, USA, Germany, Sweden, Australia, have more breast cancer. What do people in those countries eat? Meat and dairy. So all the meat and dairy increases your chance. Like, what do people in Japan eat? Rice, seaweed, fish. They don't eat a lot of red meat and dairy, so they have very little breast cancer. What's funny is when the Japanese people move to Hawaii, they start getting breast cancer because they adopt an American diet. And that's true of other people in different places from Asia. All right, even skin cancer can be related to the amount of fat in your diet. Can you imagine? High fat in the diet gives you more skin cancer. Unbelievable, but true. Now, there's different explanations as to why this may be. One of the things is when you cook meat at high temperatures, you get more carcinogens produced, cancer-causing substances. So, for example, there's this thing called benzopyrene. So when you put a piece of red meat in the grill, a big piece of steak, and you cook it at high temperatures, it produces benzopyrene, which is known to be a carcinogen. It's a cancer-causing substance. And scientists have analyzed that a piece of steak that's 2 pounds in weight produces the same benzopyrene as someone who has just smoked 600 cigarettes. So, do you think this could lead to a higher chance of cancer? Yes. Right? Look at this warning that McDonald's puts on its foods. Chemicals known to cause cancer or birth defects or other reproductive harm may be present in foods or beverages sold or served here. If you went to your friend's house and they said, oh, excuse me, you might get cancer from our food, would you eat their food? And look what it says here. It says cooked potatoes that have been browned, such as French fries, hash browns, and baked potatoes, contain acrylamide, a chemical known by the state of California to cause cancer. This is hash brown cancer, people. So they're not hiding anything. And it says acrylamide is not added to our foods, but is created whenever potatoes and certain other foods are browned. In other words, cooked at high temperatures. And the thing is, they keep using the same oil over and over. Has anyone ever here worked at McDonald's? They don't use, they just reuse the same oil over and over. It's horrible. Okay, and then there's estradiol levels. Okay, you all know what estradiol is, right? The female hormone estrogen, right? Now, estrogen is great, but sometimes estrogen gets into our dairy products and our meat. How does that happen? Does anybody know? How does estrogen get into our meat and into our eggs and our cheese? This is a normal grass-fed cow. Okay? Notice the cow's milk, the udder, right? Am I pronouncing that right? The udder of the cow? Now, what is wrong with this cow? What have they given this cow? Why did they give that cow, and estrogen too, why did they give that cow growth hormones? What will it produce more? More milk. And how's the meat going to be? Better. And how about the chicken? Going to make bigger eggs and better eggs, right? So, well, that sounds like a good idea. Let's make super cows, this is utterly, utterly despicable, I guess we could say. The cow's udder is a monstrosity. So, do you think some of those hormones might be getting into the meat that we eat and the milk? Now, here's the problem. We laugh because we're doing that to cows, but guess what? We do it to ourselves. What is this postmenopausal lady taking? Estrogen. She's doing the same thing we do to the cows. Why is she taking estrogen? Because she wants to feel young, maybe doesn't want to have hot flashes, wants to be nicer to her husband. That's probably good reasons. But God said you need to churn your progesterone and estrogen off at age 50. Isn't that right? Now, why would God say that? Is God mean, or does God have a reason for doing that? Why do female hormones churn off at age 50? It's a safety mechanism. Now, we used to give, I'm old enough to know that as a doctor, we used to give females that were postmenopausal hormones, until we found out we were killing them. What were the ladies getting from all the hormones we were giving them? Clots in the legs and the heart, and they were getting cancer. Where were they getting cancer? Breast, ovaries, and the uterus. They're all hormonally. So remember, estrogen is a growth hormone. It makes the female parts grow, just like on the cow. So it can, if there's a cancer in the ovary, if there's a cancer in the uterus or in the breast, it can make it grow faster. And so we found out we were killing females with the hormones. Now, men, before you start laughing, men, well, this is just the increase in breast cancer. Before you start laughing, men do the same thing. Look at this old guy here. He looks pretty buff for being an old guy, doesn't he? Why? How did he become so buff? He's taking testosterone. Well, that seems like a good idea, right? Men can be, buff and healthy, But what's the problem with giving men testosterone after age 50? The testosterone is a growth hormone, and it really affects this little organ. What's this organ here? The prostate. And so if men get a cancer in their prostate and they take testosterone, what do you think is going to happen to that cancer? It's like fuel on the fire. All right? And so here you see a prostate cancer, and also the size of the prostate gets bigger. So I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time before some brilliant guy from Harvard says, we better stop giving men over 50 testosterone because we're killing them. We're making them get big prostates and prostate cancer. That's what we did to the women. That's what we're doing to the men now. So I would suggest, remember, God says churn your hormones off after 50 for safety reasons. Let's not reverse what God has done. Amen? All right. So we should choose a plant-based diet instead of a red meat and dairy diet to prevent cancer. Does that make sense? 50% less cancer with a plant-based diet. Fiber is another good reason to have a plant-based diet. Fiber decreases elimination and binds toxins and takes them out, harmlessly out of the body. This is interesting. A low-fiber diet, it takes about 3 to 7 days for food to go through your system, your GI tract. 3 to 7 days. Think of all the inflammation going on in your colon. When you have a high-fiber diet, it takes 24 to what? 36 hours. Much less inflammation, much cleaner, much nicer. So this is anti-cancer, to have fiber. Remember, chronic inflammation can lead to polyps, to cancer. We talked about that. These are foods that are high in fiber. The highest fiber foods you will see are your legumes, lentils, beans, garbanzos. Those are full of fiber. You also have things like Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes that are very high in fiber. And you have some of your whole wheat products as well. And granola. How many of you like granola? I love granola. Thanks to my wife. She makes homemade granola. Antioxidants in cancer. How many of you have heard of antioxidants? Our food, certain foods have antioxidants. And guess what? How much antioxidants do red meat and dairy have? 0. How much antioxidants does a plant-based diet have? A lot. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Antioxidants stabilize damaged cells. So when you have a healthy cell, it has like 2 electrons or whatever number of electrons. A free radical, which is usually produced by some kind of stress in the body, usually, some kind of, it could be digestive, stress that's affecting the cells, it creates free radicals, and the free radical wants to steal one of the electrons from a healthy cell, and that will damage the healthy cell. But the antioxidant has an extra electron. And so when there's an antioxidant present, it gives the damaged cell an extra electron so it won't harass or damage our healthy cells. Isn't that a good idea? All right. So antioxidants are usually found in colored fruits and vegetables. Colored fruits and also in nuts and some other things we'll talk about. So top 10 antioxidant fruits: tomato, apple, banana, white grape, pink grapefruit, kiwi, red grapes, orange, plum, and number 1 are the berries: blueberry, boysenberry, strawberry. Those are the ones that are loaded with antioxidants. By the way, how many of you have heard that if you want to get antioxidants, you should drink 1 glass of red wine every night? You've heard that, right? How come they don't tell you to drink white wine? Why do they say red wine? Because the antioxidant is not in the alcohol. Where's the antioxidant? In the red grapes. So I would say if you're really fanatic about that, drink a glass of red grape juice at night. You don't need the alcohol. So it's very deceitful the way they market. They tell you to eat chocolate, it's good for you. Drink alcohol, it's good for you. It's not the alcohol, it's the red grapes. So don't be fooled. Well, I could make a political statement right now, but I won't. Okay, let's go forward. Okay. Top 10 antioxidant vegetables: corn, onion, red bell peppers, beets, broccoli, alfalfa, Brussels spinach, kale. Oh, did you know some people lack the gene to have a good taste with kale? Did you know that? I'm one of those. My wife has the gene. Kale tastes good to her. It tastes bad to me. So if you don't like kale, don't feel bad. It's because you lack there's a certain genetic trait for processing the kale. But the number 1 antioxidant kills bacteria, kills viruses, kills everything, including your neighbors if they get too close to you, is garlic. That stuff is really good for killing. All right. Can our diet protect against skin cancer? This is interesting. So they took some bunny rabbits. Sorry, Nathaniel. They took some innocent little bunny rabbits. They gave them a diet, and one group they gave vitamin C and E, and the other group they did not. Then they exposed them to ultraviolet light, cancer-causing light, for 24 weeks. And guess what happened? The ones who had the vitamin C and E didn't get skin cancer, and 24% of the rabbits without the vitamin C and E got skin cancer. You see, antioxidants help protect us against skin cancer. We already talked about garlic. Did you know that omega-3 fatty acids are an antioxidant? Can you name me some foods that have omega-3? Omega-3 is a good fat. Avocados. Did I hear someone say avocados? That's like loaded. What else? Nuts, like walnuts and almonds. Good. And then there's one other thing, olives and olive oil. Even coconut has omega-3. Fish is another thing. It's true, fish. And this is flaxseed. That's another thing. And what's this? I think it's soy, actually. Is there a nutritionist in the house? Okay, we'll find out. Pretty sure that's soy. We'll find out later. But anyways, yes, Omega-3 protects against cancer. Caffeine, avoiding caffeine. Caffeine is connected with an increased risk of breast cancer and also with ovarian cancer. Stop smoking. Well, this is obviously smoke and all the chemicals that are in cigarettes are going to cause a lot of inflammation, right? So when we look at all the cancers that are connected with nicotine or with the products that are in a cigarette, it's because they cause inflammation. Inflammation in all the places where they pass through. Even places like the bladder. Did you know that what we eat can cause inflammation in your bladder? And prostate too. I have some male patients, this guy from India, and he comes in with a raging prostatitis. It's not infectious. Whenever he eats too much spicy food, his prostate gets inflamed. And I have some lady patients, when they eat spicy food, their bladder, they get interstitial cystitis. It's not an infection. It's inflammation from the tapatio. It's tapatio inflammation. Tabasco inflammation. Okay, ketchup inflammation. Okay, facts about cigarettes. 400,000 lives lost in the US every year. Whoop. Every cigarette smoked, 7 minutes off your life. Wow. Every pack smoked, 2 hours and 20 minutes off your life. Smokers live an average of 15 years or less. Oh, we don't even need to comment on this. The longer the time since quitting smoking, the better the survival outcome. You can reverse a lot of the damage that has been done to your lungs if you quit smoking. That's good news. There may be some effects that are permanent, but the sooner you quit, the higher the chance, the higher the recovery of the damaged tissue. So it is worth quitting, even if you've been smoking a long time. You can still reverse some of that damage that has been done. Anybody know what this is? That's a lung, correct. This is a lung. What color is it? They look kind of tan. Okay, it's supposed to be kind of white. Now, look at this lung after it's been exposed to nicotine smoke. Did you know that the lungs of people who live in downtown LA who are not smokers can look like this too? This is called anthrocosis. So how would you get rid of this? Could you wash that out with water? Could you take a pill to clean your lungs? You know, the only way to get that out is to cough it up. Now you know why people have smoker's cough. Because they're trying to cough up all the junk that's in their lungs. They're trying to get it out. That's why. It's the only way to get it out. Oh, anybody know what this is? Smoker's skin. Have you ever heard of that? Have you ever noticed that people who use a lot of nicotine, their skin is affected? And then have you ever seen when they quit smoking, it looks like they're 10 years younger? That's very, very true. Whoops. Smoker's skin. So just another reason to motivate us to quit. Alcohol is another substance that can, of course, alcohol causes inflammation, right? It can cause inflammation in the GI tract, so it's related to alcohol, to cancer in the GI tract, but alcohol also weakens our immune system. The body's ability to fight bacteria and viruses is reduced by 2/3, 67% in light drinkers after 2 alcoholic beverages. That is an amazing statistic. Anybody know what this is? Exactly. Oh, we're good. I have some good students in here. This is the liver. What does our liver do? It's like the pharmacy. It's like the chemical station of the body. If something comes in, it breaks it down and cleans it up and processes it. So our liver is very important. This is a happy liver. It's well and healthy. Now, what happened to this liver? Cirrhosis. This is cirrhosis. So the liver has become diseased. It can't do its job well. So this is what happens when our liver gets poisoned. But the amazing thing is our liver, I will tell you a true story. So I go to Arden Hills, and we had a gentleman who came to our Revelation campaign, Revelation of Hope, I think it was called. He was like in his mid-40s. His dad died of alcohol. His mom died of alcohol. They had cirrhosis. He had cirrhosis. He was drinking. The doctors told him he had 3 months to live. And they told him, you have to stop drinking. And guess what? He couldn't stop drinking. So he came to our church. He got baptized. He stopped drinking. And it's been over a year, and the man is not dead. In fact, His doctors said, we don't know what happened to you, but your cirrhosis is going away. He's working again. He got a promotion, and his wife and him are starting to reconcile. All because he stopped drinking, because Jesus gave him power to stop drinking. So it's amazing what the liver can do. It's amazing what Jesus can do. Try it. Okay, vinegar. Vinegar is sort of a semi-fermented substance. So it's kind of like a mild fermented substance. So too much vinegar is like in ketchup, pickles, jalapenos, tapatio, all this kind of stuff. It can also cause inflammation in our esophagus and even in our liver. So we should avoid lots of vinegar. It's not good to have foods with a lot of vinegar. In fact, did you know you can clean pennies with vinegar? Now, if you can clean a penny with vinegar, what do you think that does to your GI tract? Yeah. It causes esophagitis. So we don't want esophagitis because that can give us cancer. Caloric restriction. This is interesting. If you fast, if you have, if you're careful with your portions, you'll have less cancer. Incredible. Caloric restriction enhances DNA repair and also reduces DNA damage. Now, we have this philosophy. I mean, how many of you have been to Costco and seen the size of the muffins at Costco? Is it me, or does it seem like they're like steroid muffins, And have you seen the cookies they sell? They used to be like this, and now they look like these giant cookies, So there's this philosophy, supersize me. Have you heard that? They used to sell sodas like this, and now the kids are drinking these giant sodas. Just look at this. This is comparing what our food used to look like and our serving sizes used to be in America to what they are now. And I don't need to say much, but just look at this. See how the size of everything has changed. Even the soda sizes and the amount of sugar they put in there has just increased. So this is part, the United States is probably the only country in the world where we have obese pets. Did you know that veterinarians are making money by treating diabetic dogs and cats? There's something wrong when our pets are obese. What in the world is going on here? But the sad part is it's not just our pets, isn't that right? Here we see the obesity rates in America. The big state of Texas, okay? But hey, California's not too far behind. But you know what? Obesity is a worldwide problem. I've spent time as a doctor in the Middle East, and let me tell you, they have an obesity problem just as bad as we have. You know why? Because the Saudis are rich, and they don't walk, they drive, right? When they go to the corner store, they don't walk to the corner store, they drive. And when they make a feast, they make a feast, okay? And now they have Baskin-Robbins in Saudi Arabia, they have McDonald's, they have Pizza Hut, and the people are looking like the cat. But it's true, and it's happened in Mexico too. Mexico has a big obesity problem. These are all cancers related to obesity. So this is another cause of cancer. So exercising regularly also helps us prevent cancer. 4 hours a week reduces your chance of cancer by 33%. That's amazing. Now what's interesting is they did an experiment. This is upper respiratory tract infections, right? Flu. And when you lived a sedentary lifestyle, you had a higher chance of a flu. If you do moderate exercise, your chance of the flu is way down. So we know exercise activates our immune system. But if you do a marathon every week, what do you think happens to your chance of getting an infection? It goes up. So, if we tax our body too much with severe exercise, we actually weaken our immune system. So moderation in exercise. Moderation in exercise will strengthen your immune system. Just don't overdo it. Exercise reduces chance of breast cancer by 60%, reduces the risk of other cancers, ovarian, uterus, prostate, colon, and lung. Cardiorespiratory fitness and cancer prevention. We can see people who cultivate healthy lungs and heart have 1/2 the risk of mortality from cancer. So you can lower your chance of cancer by over 50% just by being cardiovascularly fit. That's amazing. High levels of physical activity reduce the incidence of breast cancer by 66%. Ladies, that's an amazing stat. So there you go. Illicit behavior. Can illicit behavior give us cancer? Yes. These are viruses attacking a cell membrane. And what these viruses do is they're full of genetic material like DNA and RNA. They come to your cell and they inject their poisonous DNA into your cell and make your cell produce viruses. It's kind of diabolical. It's kind of evil. So some of these are transmitted through illicit contact. For example, hepatitis C. Hepatitis C you can get that from illicit contact. So hepatitis C can lead to cancer and cirrhosis. Ooh, terrible picture. This is a cancer in the liver. You can get cancer in the cervix. Now, ladies, how do you get cancer in the cervix? What causes cancer in the cervix? Is it Gatorade? What causes cancer in the cervix? Is it the water we're drinking? It's a thing called HPV. What's HPV? It's a virus. Ladies, you get cancer in the cervix from a virus. How do you get that virus? Do you buy the virus at the store? Does it come in the hamburgers? How do you get the virus? You get it from a male. So think about this. Cervical cancer is caused from a virus that comes from a guy. So do you see the connection here? You see what's happening? So illicit behavior can cause cancer. And of course, this is the worst kind of virus disease that you can pick up that can cause cancer. HIV causes many, because it weakens your immune system. Here you can see the HIV. All those little yellow spots are HIV viruses attacking that cell. And they attack your white blood cells. They attack your army, your defense. And they leave you vulnerable to this, Kaposi's sarcoma. It's a type of cancer. But HIV patients, because they have a weakened immune system, get all kinds of cancers because their body cannot fight against these abnormal cancer cells. Proper use of water. Can water help prevent cancer? How many of you would take a shower with orange juice? Why not? Does orange juice clean the outside of your body? What's the only thing that can clean the outside of the body? Water, right? You don't take a shower with coffee or soda. What's the only way to cleanse the internal organs? Water. Yes. So in order to bathe and clean the inside of your body, you need to drink a lot of water. Not soda, not juice, not Gatorade, but water. All right. Now this is very interesting. Did you know that we can get rid of toxins through our pores? Did you know that? Yeah, it's very interesting. So saunas, do you think saunas are good for our health? This is an ancient, this is in the Middle East, in Turkey, I believe, where, Middle Eastern people use a lot of saunas. And saunas have a lot of medical benefit, including immune system boosting and detoxification. We can actually expel our toxins through the pores. And hydrotherapy is good for the immune system. Anybody been to Weimar? When you were a kid, did anyone here, did your mom ever make you a cold and hot water compress? Anybody? I know my mom did that for me. And when I was, with the fever, my mom made the cold and the hot towel wraps, and I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I felt better. All right? It works. It works. So hydrotherapy. Did you know sweating is good for you? Sweating protects you against bacterial infections, and it's a good way to get rid of toxins as well. Pure air. We take pure air for granted, but let me tell you, outdoor air is much healthier than indoor air. Has twice the carcinogens as outdoor air. So if you're indoors all the time, breathing indoor air, it's not very pure, and it will increase your chance of disease, including cancer. They took rats that had cancer. All the rats had cancer. I believe it was liver cancer. After 1 month, they took the two groups, one group outside, one group inside. The group that was indoors, the tumors were twice the size of the cancer in the rats breathing outdoor air. That's all they did. They took the two groups of rats with cancer, one indoor, one outdoor, and the outdoor rats had smaller tumors than the indoor rats, just from breathing the indoor air too much. Anybody know what this young person's doing? That's right. They're sniffing propane. Why would they do that? You know, young people think it's safe to get high on paint. Do you think that's true? Is that safe? We can see here, this is a young person who has been inhaling a solvent. This is a normal brain, and here you see the brain of the solvent user, and you can see that it has shrunk. And literally their brain has shrunken from sniffing. They have brain damage. They're killing their brain cells from sniffing solvents and propane. This is a marijuana abuser. It's a normal brain, and the bright orange and red represents thinking, metabolism in the brain. And you can see that the marijuana user has less metabolism and less cognitive function, less thinking than the normal person. The marijuana is killing their brain. So yes, marijuana may help your pain, it may help your nausea, but it can also kill your brain cells. We got to really think about that. This is 2.5 years of methamphetamine. Wow. We don't want that to happen to anybody. Sunlight. We're almost done. We're almost done, folks. We're almost done. Vitamin D and did you know that 80% of our vitamin D comes from where? Not Costco. The sun. Yes. Exposure to sunlight decreases mortality from cancer. Vitamin D is a potent inhibitor of cancer growth. So if you have vitamin D deficiency, how good of an immune system do you think you have? You're going to get lots of flus. You might even have a hard time defending yourself against cancer if you're vitamin D deficient. What are they doing with these patients? These children all have tuberculosis. What are they doing with them? What kind of treatment are they receiving? They're receiving sun therapy. Exactly. Do you think it works? Well, let's see. So this is lupus vulgaris, tuberculosis of the skin. And this is after several weeks of sunlight. What do you see? The tuberculosis is going away, almost completely gone, simply from sunlight. Isn't that amazing? This was in England. They did this, and they would treat tuberculosis patients in England with sunlight. Same thing with this young boy. He has tuberculosis of the skin of the face. After sunlight therapy, look at that. So, you know, have you ever read Sister White says we should put our laundry out in the sun? You know why? What does the sunlight do to your laundry? It kills the bacteria. Yes, of course. Did you know sunlight kills COVID? Yeah. So if you get sick with COVID, go outside. Put yourself in the sun. It works. Okay. Vitamin D, potent antioxidant, of course. This region here gets good sunlight for vitamin D all year long, but as you move away from the equator to the north and to the south, you don't get good sunlight in the winter. So in the wintertime, you should take a vitamin D supplement. There are foods that have vitamin D, but very little. And it's hard to get enough vitamin D just by eating foods with vitamin D. So if you live in a place like here, you probably need to take a vitamin D supplement in the winter. Now here's the problem. We're supposed to get our vitamin D in the summer, but because it's so hot, what do people do? They go inside. And so we have to go outside. How much do we have to go outside? You have to go outside between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. for 15 minutes, 6 days per week. And you have to expose the skin. Not too much skin, ladies or guys, but we do want to expose some skin, okay? Does lack of sleep cause cancer? It does. How? Disruption of the sleep cycle is associated with faster growth of cancer rates. When you are asleep, your brain is very active. Did you know that? Your brain is still awake when you're asleep. And your brain is producing melatonin. How many of you have heard of melatonin? Well, melatonin is a potent antioxidant. Okay? So antioxidants that your body makes. Sunlight makes vitamin D, antioxidant. And sleep makes melatonin antioxidant. You don't even have to go to Costco and buy them. You just have to sleep well and get sunlight, and you get free antioxidant. And if you eat vegetables, you get more antioxidants. See how God made this? It's amazing. You would just follow what God says. So melatonin, now, this you have to understand this. Melatonin is made in the brain, in the pineal gland, under two conditions. You have to be asleep. Melatonin is not produced when you're awake, or very little is produced when you're awake, pretty much nothing. And it has to be dark, because light, especially sunlight, blocks melatonin. Okay? Now, here's the problem. You only make melatonin when it's dark. So when the sun goes down, you can start making melatonin, but you have to do what? You have to go to sleep. So let's say you sleep for 8 hours from 3 in the morning till 11 in the morning. You got 8 hours of sleep. How much melatonin did you make? From 3 to 5, maybe 6 or 5:30. You made melatonin for about 2 hours. That's right around here. So you didn't get very much melatonin. But if you go to sleep at 9 or 10 and you wake up at 5 or 6, you had 8 hours of sleep in the dark. So you made a lot of melatonin. Does that make sense? Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. The hours before midnight are worth double the hours after midnight. A very intelligent woman said that. A woman who had a 3rd grade education. Do you know who that woman was? How did she know this? Melatonin. She didn't know. I know she didn't know it was melatonin, but God knew. Okay, so what if you wear masks? For people who work at night, or people who live like in Norway and Alaska, they make the room as dark as possible, and actually that helps. So if you work at night and you sleep during the day, make your room like nighttime. Make it as dark as possible, and it'll be better for you, so you make more melatonin. It's a good question. Constant night light suppresses melatonin, increases cancer cell growth. Evidence now links exposure to light at night to breast and colorectal cancers in night workers. Oh, you want to know a good way to kill your melatonin? Turn your TV on, turn your computer on, or look at your cell phone. That's a good way to kill your melatonin. So when you wake up at 2 in the morning, don't look at your cell phone. Don't look at the computer. Don't turn on the TV. Read a book, and that will help you fall asleep. But don't read the book online. Does resting every Sabbath prevent cancer? Yes. Seventh-day Adventists have higher levels of immune-stimulating antioxidants. If you keep the Sabbath, you will have a stronger immune system. Amen? Hey, all right. That's us right there, the happy face. This is the last one. Do you think trusting in God will make you live longer? Of course. Here's the evidence. Stress and depression increase cancer because they decrease the strength of your immune system. When people get depressed, they get cancer. It's true. In a 10-year follow-up, people with anger management had a 40% higher death rate from cancer. Ooh, and heart attack, and stroke, by the way. Socially isolated people are more likely to die of cancer. Lonely people. Happy people have better physical health, longer lifespan, fewer illnesses, and less pain. Wow. Compared to people with poor spiritual health, those with good spiritual health, the people that come to Los Alamitos, people who come to Los Alamitos, people who listen to the Wednesday night prayer meeting with Mr. Yancey, have longer life expectancy, fewer hospitalizations, less anxiety and depression, and they enjoy better immune system function. Wow. Helping others, like if you volunteer, like you do mission work and stuff like that, helping others significantly reduces your mortality. Receiving help does not improve mortality. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Yes, and that's true. I always, do you remember the story of Dorcas? right? You know who Dorcas was, right? She was a lady at an early Christian church, and she would make clothes for the poor people. And then she died, remember? And everybody was crying. And Peter, the disciple Peter, came. And what did Peter do to this lady Dorcas? He prayed for her so she would do what? So she would be resurrected, right? Now let's think about it. If Dorcas had been a bad church member and she wasn't helping the people, you think they would have resurrected her? They would have said, let her sleep. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Let her stay there. But because she was a useful worker for God, they said, we need to resurrect this lady. So I'm telling you, if God sees you as a helpful, useful person, he will make you live longer. I believe that. And I really do. I really do, because he says, this person is helping. We got to keep them going. I believe that. A lot of this information came from my friend Dr. Clark and from Dr. Neil Nedley. If you are more interested, you can look online in Amazon, and these are two excellent resources if you want to take a picture of that you can look up to study for yourself some more of these health topics. I apologize that we started late and that it went a little bit long, but do we have any questions? Or we could just sing again too. But is there any questions? I see a hand way back there. Yes. Okay. Organic, I think, is healthier. I mean, you know, it's true. Genetically modified food can cause potentially some allergy problems and other things. It's true. So organic food is ideal. We don't live in an ideal world, but it's better if we can. Any other questions? Either you understood everything or you understood nothing. One of the two. Any questions? Yes, go ahead. You can ask another question. Okay, sure. Oh, the nose. There was some pictures of the nose? Oh, that's tuberculosis of the skin. Yeah, so they got it by inhaling it, and then it spread to their skin. Correct, yes. She's asking about the lupus vulgaris. Okay, good question. Anybody with cancer, we want to fortify the immune system, and we don't want to damage the immune system, right? So that the immune system can do its job. So eat a diet that's high in antioxidants, low in red meat and dairy, right? And then if you want to take some omega-3 or supplements like that, that's okay. Or eating foods that are high in omega-3. So foods that are high in antioxidants and fiber and anti-cancer things, and avoiding foods that will weaken the immune system. Alcohol, sugar, red meat, dairy. So that's usually and getting good sleep, right? Melatonin, right? And getting sunlight. Make sure you're not deficient in vitamin D. So that's what you have to do if you have cancer. Zinc. Zinc is good. You know, if you're zinc deficient, it can cause some problems to the immune system. And, you know, male functioning uses zinc. So sometimes we recommend a zinc supplement if men are a little bit on the, they're getting a little less manly. We give them some zinc, and sometimes it kind of revs them up a little bit, if you understand what I'm saying. So, yeah, zinc is good for guys. Yes, ma'am. Well, okay. Yes, okay. There's two things that prevent you from getting vitamin D. Three things. One, if the sun is not high enough in the sky. So if you're out in this morning sun or evening sun, it may not be strong enough to make you produce vitamin D, number one. If you're covered up, you won't get vitamin D. And the other thing, the darker your skin, the longer you have to be in the sun to make vitamin D. The lighter your skin, the less time. So when you have light skin, the rays penetrate and make vitamin D more easier. So if you're darker skinned, you have to be in the sun longer. So African Americans, they might need 30 minutes or 40 minutes of sun, and lighter skinned people might just need 15. So lighter skinned people can get skin cancer more easily. In fact, darker skinned people hardly get skin cancer. So they're protected naturally against skin cancer, but they don't produce vitamin D as quickly. I see a hand over there, yes. I would say yes. I guess, some of it depends on the skin color. So really light, you don't want people to get sunburn really bad. Blisters and all that, that's no good. Because you can damage the skin and you can create precancers and other things. So we have to use our reason.
Good afternoon. Sir, I have a question. On the topic of melatonin, let's say I go to bed at 12 midnight, and I'm asking because does blackout curtains really help? Because let's say I go to bed at 12 midnight and I sleep until, say, 8 o'clock next morning. My curtains, the sun is up, but I have blackout curtains, which really makes my room really, really dark because I do have blackout curtains,
So
blackout drapes. So does that not kill my melatonin, keep it intact?
Well, they say that people who work at night, their body learns to shift the melatonin production to the day. But the truth is, it's not the same. So the darker you can keep the room or move to a room that's darker, whatever, the darker you can keep the room, the better it will be for your melatonin production. But there is evidence that we can sort of shift this graph to the daytime if you're sleeping every day on a regular basis. But it will benefit to sleep in the darkest room and make it as dark as possible. That's very good and helpful for your melatonin. Yes?
I take a 1 milligram melatonin supplement every night. Gives me a deeper sleep because I run and exercise, and I notice I'm more rested when I take it. And when COVID hit, they said, oh, guess what? Melatonin helps reduce your incidence by 87% of catching COVID.
Yes, because remember, melatonin is an antioxidant. So remember, our body makes free antioxidants, vitamin D and melatonin. All we got to do, and then if we eat vegetables, we're getting all these vitamins for free. So yes, melatonin protects you because it boosts your immune system. Absolutely.
There was a thing on YouTube, I forgot, somebody from one of the universities talking about vitamin D. And even though you may take a vitamin D pill, the actual vitamin D is at vitamin D23. You probably know there's different variations of vitamin D, and that's produced from the sunlight acting on.
This is interesting, how we make vitamin D. So vitamin D is made from cholesterol. So your body has cholesterol, the sun hits it, and your body transforms it into vitamin D, but not the active form. So this vitamin D that's made from cholesterol has to go to your liver and your kidneys, and they activate it and make it vitamin D3. Have you heard of vitamin D3? So vitamin D3 doesn't need to be activated by your liver and your kidneys. It's already in the active form. That's why they sell vitamin D3 at Walmart and Costco. It's ready to go. It's ready for your body to use. So it's true. When you get it from the sun, you have to download the sunlight, churn the cholesterol into vitamin D, and then send it to the liver and kidney for activation. So people with kidney problems, they can't make as much vitamin D, active vitamin D.
Another fellow you probably know over in Loma Linda, there's Dr. Roger Schultz with MedCram. I get a lot of information from that.
There are some amazing guys over there. My hat goes off to them. Yes, they're doing good work, So I see another question back there from our sister. Go ahead, sister.
This is just personal. If you live like healthy, eating vegan and then came the coronavirus, right? I don't know if I'm overdoing my vitamins because, take this because the antivirus, So how do you say if you're taking too much vitamins?
That's a good question. So we can overdo vitamins. I have patients who take 20 pills a day. Okay, no, but I'm talking about regular pills. Like metoprolol, like Lipitor. They take 20 pills a day. And then I have other patients who take 20 vitamins a day. I mean, it's probably not as bad, but it's probably unnecessary. We don't want to overburden our liver and our kidneys. So balance. balance. You know, I take a B12 because I'm B12 deficient. I guess I'm too vegetarian or something. You know why we get B12 deficient sometimes in this country? Because our food is too clean. Now, what did I just say? Our food is too clean? B12 comes from bacteria that are on our fruits and vegetables, especially our vegetables from the ground. And we clean them so good we radiate the vegetables to kill the bacteria that we kill the good bacteria that make B12. And so sometimes if you're vegetarian in this country and you get vegetables only non-organic, you may not be getting good bacteria that will give you B12. And another thing, did you know the bacteria in your mouth and your gut produce B12? So they say in the morning, you probably have some B12 in your mouth from the bacteria overnight have created B12. But if you brush your teeth, you can kill all those good bacteria that make the B12. I'm not telling you not to brush your teeth, but one of the things they say to do is this. When you first wake up, drink a glass of water and it washes the B12 down into your system. Do you remember a little old lady that said we should drink 2 glasses of water first thing in the morning? Yes, ma'am.
After we take vitamin D from sunlight, is there any time duration to take shower after that?
Oh, after the vitamin D?
Yeah, from the sunlight.
So all of this is internal in the body. So, you know, the rays penetrate deep into your skin, and that's where the cholesterol is made into vitamin D. So I don't, maybe you know something about that, I don't, but as far as I know, showering shouldn't affect vitamin D.
Because I hear that someone told like there should be a time duration for like 24 hours. We have to take shower, then only we have to go and stand in the sun to get vitamin D.
I see what you're saying, to make sure the skin is clean.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that might be true.
No, some people told that after you get vitamin D from the sun, after that if you take shower, all the vitamin D's, what
Washed
you get,
away.
it will go off like that. So I'm asking that whether it's right on.
Is there a nutritionist in the house? I don't know how to answer that question. Maybe, I don't know. But we can, maybe we can help the nice lady with that question.
I can answer. I used to run 10 to 20 miles a day,
Whoa.
and my vitamin D was at 17.
Wow.
I ended up getting prostate cancer.
Ooh.
So I started researching why. My doctor said if your vitamin D is less than 50, he said a lot of people are. He says he's getting men age 30 in his office. They have prostate cancer. He said, get your vitamin D above 50. I take 10,000 units a day to keep it above 50. I take 5,000, it drops to 30. Now the answer on the other one is the cholesterol is right under your skin, and when you run or you get outside, it converts to a form of vitamin D, but it takes 2 hours for your body to convert it into absorb it. So if you take it, like if you run like I did and shower right afterwards, I got no vitamin D. So you got to wait about 2 hours to 3 hours after you get in the sun for your body to absorb. If you take a shower before that, you lose all your vitamin D.
That's what I keep telling my wife. Why do I have to take a shower after I go running?
I
Yes.
have a question. I was told that you should brush your teeth before you eat, especially in the morning, because all of the whatever that gets in your bloodstream clogs your arteries and things, and that's how you get the plaque.
Probably. These are upper level questions for me. Maybe, probably,
Okay.
I would say.
Okay.
I'm sure that there's probably not a bad idea to maybe rinse a little and then drink some water, but yeah. Yes.
A follow-up question. You don't have to answer, but what vitamin do you recommend for
Oh, the B complex is good.
B complex?
B complex has a
What
nice
about
wide
C?
variety.
I see. B complex.
Yes,
Thank
Costco. Yes. What's the name of the guy from Costco? What's the name of the products from Costco? Kirkland, Brother Kirkland. Brother Kirkland makes vitamins and everything, man. Brother Kirkland. That's what we always buy food from Brother Kirkland. Yes.
All right, so this is probably a tough question, but I
Uh-oh.
want to hear your opinion. So, do you think medications and vaccines can actually cause cancer and work up somebody's system to actually lower their immune? What are your thoughts?
So, absolutely. The number 3 cause of hospitalizations is medicine. The more medicine you take, the more side effects you're going to have. Okay? No question. The more medicine you take, the more side effects you're going to have. Number 3 cause of hospital, I forget what cause of death it is, but medicines cause a lot of death. Okay, with that said, I'm not anti-medicine. We use medicine to help people, but it's not ideal. Okay, we can kill people with medicine. Steroid medications is a good example. If your knee hurts, we'll inject you with steroid, your shoulder, and it helps. But did you know steroids depress your immune system, make your blood pressure go up, cause diabetes, a whole bunch of stuff. So medicines is not the ideal way to heal the body. But you know what? God gave meat to man after the flood, which was not the ideal diet. But why did he give it to man? Because there was nothing else to eat. And it was a necessity. So that's the way I see medicine. Medicine is not the best way to cure your body and your diseases. But for some people, it's necessary. Just like meat was given to man as a necessity. But it wasn't, after the flood, people started dying earlier because of their meat diet. So, why did Jesus eat fish? I'll give you an example. The islands, I used to work in Guam. And there's some islands outside of Guam, they don't have Costco. They don't have soy products, okay? You know what they eat? They eat taro and fish. Okay? Did you know fish is their source of good protein? They don't have nuts. Okay? They don't have legumes. If you take their fish away, you know what's going to happen? They get sick. And they get unhealthy because that's their protein. So, you have to ask God for wisdom. The situation of each culture and each person is different. And you cannot take the fish away from those people in those islands in Micronesia where they have nothing. The fish is their good protein. So we live in a place where we can eat healthier food. Amen? We got Farmers Market. We got Brother Kirkland at Costco. We got access to a wide variety of fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables, right? So let's eat the best diet that we can. Amen? I hope I'm not speaking heresy, but...
As a physician, do you recommend people to take medications that are not prescribed by physicians?
You're talking about like people take supplements and things like that.
Supplements, but they are not recommended
by who?
By your physician.
If people take supplements that are not recommended by doctors, that's probably okay. So I tell my patients, I say, okay, you want to take a supplement for cholesterol? Okay. The Lipitor is going to work better and faster, but you're right. The Lipitor could hurt you. You want to take omega-3 instead and coenzyme 10? Okay. You got a reason. You got to let people choose.
Is that right?
I think you should.
As RNs, I am an RN.
Yeah.
And I have learned that we have to stick to the medications that the physicians prescribe.
So
in my case, it's hard for me to accept, when I talk to people who have a lot of supplements, and this, and I say, what about your real medications? So they still take them, but
there's different kinds of patients. Okay. There's some patients who say, I don't want you to tell me, I want you to tell me what to do. I don't want to choose. There's patients like that. And culturally, there's cultures that are like that. But I think the best doctor-patient relationship or nurse-patient relationship is give the information to the patient and let them choose. Let them make an informed choice.
Oh, really?
Let them tell them, you could do this for your cholesterol, you could do this, you could become a vegan, but genetically it may not work. You could your cholesterol's 300 because it's genetic, not because of your diet. Do you really think being a vegan is going to help? No, probably won't. So you have to give the patient information and let them decide. That's how I see it.
What if they get the wrong information from other people.
Oh, they do. Dr. Google gives them all kinds of information.
Exactly.
So you have to reason with them. You say, well, where did you hear that? But there are things that work that are not proved scientifically.
True. Yes.
For example, drinking 2 glasses of water. There's no study out there. There's no secular doctor that will tell you drink 2 glasses of water. But it works, and it's helpful. It helps your digestion. Does a bunch of stuff. So there's a lot of simple things that are not proven.
You have to use your own judgment.
You have to help the patient make an informed decision.
Okay.
Right? So I could make a political statement now too, but I won't make a political statement. Oh, one more question, and then maybe we can stop, and then we can talk by ourselves after that. But that's an interesting topic.
Hi, Doc. What about herbal medicine?
Okay. Herbal medicine, some of them work. They do. So once again, if you're taking 20 herbal medicines, you're probably overworking your system. So, but yeah, of course, herbal medicine works. I think there's things that they do in China that are probably helpful. Some of these herbal treatments, yeah, they just haven't been studied. And so Western doctors tend to reject whatever hasn't been studied. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means we don't know if it works.
Okay, my next question is, there are people called medical missionaries. I don't know if you have heard about them. My daughter had the health challenge, and someone was trying to get me, inveigle me to go the way of medical missionaries. I rejected it, not outrightly, but because I don't know, I did some research, and to me, I didn't find them being being doctors, say, in the true sense, qualified doctors, medical school doctors. So I sort of rejected it nicely, but what do you think about them? Because they have been encouraging people or working with people who has cancer. I have a friend who has colon cancer currently, and they have been working with that family. They're all over the place.
I would encourage people always to get second and third opinions. Don't just get opinion from one regular doctor or from a herbal doctor. You can do both. But yes, I agree. Sometimes there's people out there that are regular doctors, and they can kill you with their medicine. It's true. And then there's herbal people out there who can kill you because you're not getting the treatment you should be getting. It goes both ways. We need wisdom. And we need to pray. And I think we need to study the health message. We need to study the writings of Ellen White. We need to study the latest research and see where they overlap. But I think God is always right. God said, don't eat lobsters, don't eat crabs. And people laughed at that. But now we know why, right? God said, don't eat pork. Was he wrong? No. Now we're finding out why. So for me, if God has sent us a message, we better pay attention. And if something in modern science conflicts with that, I would think about it twice. And I would tend to side with God's advice over man's advice.
So since you sound like a plant-based doctor, would you recommend people to put the vitamins aside and just do juicing? Because juicing, I heard, is very potent when it comes to vitamins. So what do you think?
We're getting into the complex questions now. These are I think the juicing can be great, very, very good. If you get vegetables and you juice lots of vegetables, I think that's really good for you. Very, very good. So yes, I think you can benefit from juicing, and people lose weight on juicing. So there's a lot of good benefits, very good benefits. This is an interesting topic. We could stay here for hours talking about this. What I would say is this: keep on studying yourself. Don't think just because you're not a medical person you can't understand. You can. You have a brain, and doctors may have training, but you have the health message, you have your brain, and you can talk to different doctors and different nurses, right? So you be a well-informed patient. When patients come to me and say, Dr. Google says, I don't get it. I'm okay with that. I say, okay, what did Dr. Google say? Let's talk about it, So be a well-informed. I think the Lord wants you to be a well-informed person. to make wise decisions. And the Bible and the writings of Sister White are good information. And that will help you make good decisions. Amen? Amen. Amen. Loma Linda, second place. Father in heaven, Lord, we thank you for the wonderful body that you have given us, that we may be able to walk and share the gospel, speak and share the gospel, sing and share the gospel. Father, we thank you for the brain that you gave us so that we can think, so that we can praise your name, so that we can feel your presence near us. Lord, help us to take care of this wonderful instrument that you have given us. Help us to use it for your honor and glory. Help us, Lord, whether we eat or whether we drink, to do all for the honor and the glory of God. Lord, forgive us for our sins. We have all made mistakes in taking care of our body, but we ask that from this day forward, we will implement and obey the laws that you have set, the rules that you have set for taking care of our body. We pray these things in the name of Jesus, the God who is forgiveness, the God who is grace, and the God who is mercy. And we ask it in his name. Amen.